Hi, welcome to the 13th flashback. This is the first episode introducing some of the best films in the prison genre. In the final months of World War II, Saul, a Jewish prisoner at Auschwitz, leads his fellow inmates to the gas chambers. Amidst this chaos, Saul discovers that a boy has survived the gas chamber and is not fully suffocated. However, a German doctor arrives and finishes the job, suffocating the boy with his own hands. Saul intervenes and takes the boy to the autopsy room, where the doctor had instructed the boy's body be taken for later examination. Saul pleads with the doctor's assistant, another Jewish worker at Auschwitz, to avoid performing the autopsy and allow the boy to be buried according to Jewish customs. From here, the film follows Saul's efforts throughout the day to find a Jewish rabbi within the hell of Auschwitz so the boy, named Adam, can be buried according to his faith. With a runtime of 1 hour and 47 minutes, it is categorized as a historical and art film. It's not suitable for family viewing, except for children over 14 to 15 years old. This film is a good fit for a niche audience, particularly those interested in art films with a unique visual and narrative style, as well as historical topics surrounding World War II and events at Auschwitz.
Ça va? Hein? Ça va ou quoi? Eh, mais qu'est-ce que tu fais là? Viens. Viens là.
Next, we have a prophet. Malik, a 19-year-old French Algerian, is sentenced to 6 years in a prison divided between two groups of criminals, the Moroccans and the Corsicans. Initially, Malik is drawn to the Corsican group, led by Cesar, and is assigned menial tasks. Over time, as his peers are transferred or released, Malik is given heavier responsibilities and begins to learn the Corsican language. His growth in the prison hierarchy eventually leads him to earn a day of leave and gain Cesar's trust for outside drug deals. However, Malik has never cut ties with the Moroccan faction and aims to become the undisputed kingpin of the prison's criminal underworld. Like a prophet, he must either betray his friends or deceive those around him. The film is directed by Jacques Audiard, starring Tahar Rahim and Niels Aristrup. With a runtime of 2 hours and 35 minutes, it is definitely not suitable for family viewing. I rate the film as excellent quality, appealing to both general audiences and discerning film enthusiasts.
That's how it is every day, all over the world.
In 1935, John Coffey, a strong yet calm black man, is transferred to a prison in Carolina after being sentenced to death for the murder of 2 white girls. He is placed on death row in a section known as the Green Mile. Paul, the head of the section and a kind-hearted man, initially accepts John as he would any other inmate, though he is concerned that John's imposing presence might lead to trouble. However, as time passes before his execution, Paul quickly realizes that John Coffey is not only calm and submissive, but also possesses a miraculous ability to soothe the pain of others, and in some cases, even take death away from them. As Paul gets to know John better, his opinion shifts, and he becomes convinced that this gentle giant could never have harmed 2 young girls. Directed by Frank Darabont, The Green Mile stars Tom Hanks, Michael Clark Duncan, David Morse, Sam Rockwell, James Cromwell, Barry Pepper, and Patricia Clarkson. With a runtime of 3 hours and 9 minutes, The film falls under the family-friendly fantasy. Watching this film is an enjoyable experience. I would rate it as a solid good film, though the length is a bit excessive, which may be a drawback. Overall, it is definitely worth watching and enjoyable.
9 off years ago. Figured him for dead anyway. So anyway, this lawyer fella says to me, your brother died a rich man. Oil wells and shit. Close to $1 million.
$1 million?
Yeah. Take a big wet bite out of my ass is what?
Crying shame. Some people really got it awful. Andy, you nuts?
Andy, a young banker, is transferred to Shawshank Prison after being sentenced to 2 life terms for the murder of his unfaithful wife. At Shawshank, he faces nothing but torment and assault. The prison warden, who has gained wealth through bribery and financial manipulation, forces Andy to assist with money laundering while keeping him occupied as the head of the prison library. Over time, Andy learns through a new friend that someone else has confessed to the murder of his wife and her lover. When the warden hears this, he kills the confessor under the pretense of an escape attempt, ensuring that Andy, who knows of his financial misconduct, will never escape Shawshank. With all hope seemingly lost, Andy's determination to escape remains unwavering. Directed by Frank Darabont and starring Tim Robbins, Morgan Freeman, and Bob Gunton, The Shawshank Redemption is also based on a short story by Stephen King, much like The Green Mile. With a runtime of 2 hours and 22 minutes, this film is not family-friendly, but is suitable for teenagers aged 15 and older. I consider it a good film, and like the previous one, it could be seen as excellent with some leniency. For some of my friends, I prefer to stick with calling it good. Like The Green Mile, it is an enjoyable watch for both general audiences and discerning film enthusiasts. Frank Morris, a prisoner known for successfully escaping from various prisons, is transferred to the high-security Alcatraz prison, located on an island surrounded by the waters of San Francisco Bay. No prisoner has ever escaped from Alcatraz. Upon his arrival, Frank finds both allies and enemies among the inmates. Using his skills and the help of his friends, he temporarily manages to keep his enemies at bay, but he knows he cannot remain safe in the long term. Frank has no intention of staying in Alcatraz. He is planning an escape with the help of a few others. The success of their plan hinges on precise timing, close cooperation, and the use of simple tools, such as a nail clipper. Directed by Don Siegel, Escape from Alcatraz stars Clint Eastwood, Paul Benjamin, and P. McGowan, with a runtime of 1 hour and 52 minutes. This film does not belong to a specific family genre, but is appropriate for a general audience and can be enjoyed in a family environment.
Gentlemen, I'd like to begin today. It shouldn't take too long.
In the next film, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, McMurphy, seeking to avoid hard labor during his prison sentence, pretends to have a mental illness and is transferred to a treatment facility under the supervision of the strict Nurse Ratched. From the very first day, these two begin testing each other's strength. McMurphy quickly realizes that Nurse Ratched is a tyrant who manipulates the other patients, while Nurse Ratched identifies McMurphy as a rebel who will not comply with the hospital's oppressive rules. McMurphy continually challenges the system, openly stating that only a madman could follow such unreasonable rules. Meanwhile, Nurse Ratched uses all her tools to suppress McMurphy's defiance. Directed by Milos Forman, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest stars Jack Nicholson, Louise Fletcher, Danny DeVito, Will Sampson, Sidney Lassick, Christopher Lloyd, and William Redfield. The film has a runtime of 2 hours and 15 minutes and is classified as a psychological drama. It is suitable for family viewing, and in my opinion, it is a cinematic masterpiece. Nothing less than excellent can be attributed to this film, which is suitable for all audiences, from mainstream moviegoers to discerning cinephiles, and even those interested in political themes presented through metaphor, symbolism, and allusion.
Who gave you the food?
Jesus, Warden, I had it. I had the name.
Henri Charrière, an innocent man, is sentenced to life imprisonment for the murder of a dealer. During his transfer to the French Guiana Islands, he meets Louis Degas, a wealthy conman and embezzler who is awaiting the release of his wife and lawyer. Until that day, he needs protection from other inmates. Henri, nicknamed Papillon due to the butterfly tattoo on his chest, where papillon means butterfly in French, agrees to provide this protection in exchange for money to aid his escape. The story follows the bond between these two men and Henri's repeated attempts to escape from various prisons over the years. It's a tale of survival, resilience, and the struggle to remain sane through years of solitary confinement. Directed by Franklin J. Schaffner, Papillon stars Steve McQueen and Dustin Hoffman, with a musical score by Jerry Goldsmith, which is considered a masterpiece. The film has a runtime of 2 hours and 30 minutes and is best categorized as an adventure film. Suitable for teenagers aged 13 or 14 and older, it can be enjoyed in a family setting. Papillon is widely regarded as one of the greatest films in cinema history, appealing to all cinema audiences. The next film, Birdman of Alcatraz, tells the true story of Robert Stroud, who is initially sentenced to 7 years in prison for manslaughter. While incarcerated, he gets into a fight with a prison guard, resulting in the guard's death and Stroud's subsequent death sentence. Stroud's mother successfully campaigns to have his sentence reduced to life imprisonment. However, Stroud is condemned to solitary confinement for the rest of his life. One stormy day, while spending time in the prison yard, Stroud finds a homeless baby sparrow and brings it back to his cell. This marks the beginning of his lifelong obsession with birds, as he starts caring for them and studying them in prison. His hobby leads him to write a best-selling book, and he eventually marries a woman he meets in prison. However, when he is transferred to Alcatraz, he is prohibited from keeping birds. Directed by John Frankenheimer, Birdman of Alcatraz stars Burt Lancaster. The film has a runtime of 2 hours and 23 minutes and is classified as a biographical film. It is a poignant and insightful look at Stroud's life and his extraordinary connection with birds. The film is particularly appealing to audiences who appreciate classic black-and-white films with real-life themes and unconventional life stories. The true story behind the film The Hole, 1947, is set in Paris's Santé prison. It begins when a new prisoner is placed in a cell with 4 long-term inmates who are digging a tunnel to escape. After some discussion, the group decides to include the new prisoner in their plan. The film then focuses on the process of creating methods and tools for the tunnel as they work toward their escape. Despite being over 60 years old and based on events that happened almost 80 years ago, the film still holds significant appeal. One interesting detail: at the beginning of the film, one of the prisoners gives a brief explanation directly to the camera in a documentary style. Notably, this character is portrayed by the actual person who attempted the escape in real life. Directed by Jacques Becker, who tragically passed away shortly after filming, The whole features performances by Jacques Brel, Marc Michel, Michael Constantine, Philippe Lemaire, and Raymond Mounier. With a runtime of 2 hours and 12 minutes, it's a classic that can be enjoyed in a family setting. The film remains an excellent and watchable piece, even with its age, appealing to both general audiences and cinephiles. Next, we move to another story set during World War II. The plot follows a member of the French resistance who is captured by the Nazis and transferred to a prison in Lyon. After a failed escape attempt, which leads to a short period of solitary confinement, the protagonist begins to carefully plan his next move. Using limited resources, like bedsheets and wire from his bed, he creates a rope for escape. As his execution date approaches, he must decide whether to trust a new prisoner in his cell and involve him in the plan. Directed by Robert Bresson and starring François Leterrier, this film has a runtime of 1 hour and 39 minutes. It is classified as an art film and is suitable for family viewing. However, it's not a film for general audiences. Its unique cinematic style may not appeal to everyone, and even discerning film enthusiasts may struggle to fully enjoy it. Bresson's films are known for their distinctive filmmaking techniques, which may only resonate with a specific audience interested in a different kind of cinematic language. This section briefly introduces a few films that, in my opinion, you won't miss much by skipping. First up is the Auschwitz Report, 2021, directed by Peter Bibby. Honestly, this one is not particularly remarkable, and you can easily skip it. Next is Escape from Pretoria, 2020. Directed by Francis Annan and starring Daniel Radcliffe. Again, this film isn't very impressive, so it's not one you need to rush to watch. Then we have Shot Caller, 2027, directed by Rick Roman War. I can say that this film doesn't stand out much either. Following that is Escape Plan, 2013, directed by Mikael Hofstrom, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. While it's more of an action thriller than a typical prison genre film, it might appeal to a broad audience. However, for cinema enthusiasts, it's not a must-watch. Then there's In Hell, 2003, directed by Ringo Lam, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme. Like Escape Plan, it's an action thriller targeted at a general audience. It's more suited for casual viewers rather than those with a serious interest in filmmaking. Finally, The Great Escape, 1963, directed by John Sturges, featuring Steve McQueen, Charles Bronson, James Garner, and Richard Attenborough. I personally don't find this film to be particularly significant, but if you're a completist in the prison genre, you might still find it worth watching, even if it drags a bit. That wraps up the first part of our prison genre film introductions. The second part is on its way. If you have a different take on any of these films, or if you know of any important films in this genre that I didn't cover, feel free to share. Stay healthy, happy and well until the next flashback.